Good morning. It is time for Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Good morning and welcome to Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts. This is Kristin Odell of Grow with KLO. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio, and thank you to Just Orthodontics for sponsoring this show. Doesn't coffee just taste great out of these mugs?
It does. And you guys, I went all the way to school and back, and I still had coffee in my cup today, and I consider that like an accomplishment. Again,
You are amazing.
the size of the cup just makes me so happy.
Hey, a quick note about Just. Did you say that one of your daughters is actually getting work done?
She did. I sent you pictures, and we might not have time to talk about it today, but maybe we can talk about this next week. Yeah, my our middle Josie already has them. She got them on in August, and just last week Grace started. So I sent some pictures from that. I even told Dr. Just like we have to take a picture for Coolest Coast. So we went and got a picture with them, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's
it's great work.
let's talk about that next week because we do have some special guests today, but I do want to hear more about it because just even walking into the Just Orthodontics office is so fun, right? There's video games, there's a cooler with ice cream snacks, there's a claw game for the kids to do. It's like a great experience.
It is super fun. So, yes,
Cool.
let's talk about that
Next
next
week.
week.
Awesome. So this morning we are delighted to be joined by some special guests. I'm going to bring them into the show. We are talking about 100 plus women who care with Julie Ribley and Paula Fox. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thanks for coming back to the show.
Good
Julie,
morning.
we talked about 100 plus women who care early on. Like, how long have you guys been doing 100 plus women who care in this area?
So we started middle of May, I think like May 17th of 2021. So it's been almost 2 years, and we've had 8 meetings getting ready to have our 9th.
Nice. For viewers who might not know, can you explain what is 100 plus women who care?
Yeah. So Paula, do you want to do this?
Sure.
Yeah.
So 100 Plus Women is a group that we started here in Manitowoc. Actually, it started really, Julie, you and I have had conversations since 2019.
Yeah.
And we were getting ready to launch it. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. But, as far as what it actually is, it's really a group of women in the community who get together quarterly. And we hear from local nonprofit organizations, and we sit down, and between the group that is sitting there, we make a decision as to which organization for that particular quarter would we like to give our money to. Previous to sitting down, we've all agreed we're going to put together $100, and our initial goal was getting together at least 100 women. And when we met with those nonprofits and we heard what they had to say, we made a selection, and we took each one of our $100 donations and made that donation to that organization, which $100 plus 100 women equals $10,000. So per quarter, our goal is and continues to be to give $10,000 to a local nonprofit within Manitowoc County. So, and this organization has been going on, not just in Manitowoc County, but all over the United States and all over Canada. So we can talk about that as well. So what we're doing is not new, but it is new to Manitowoc County as of 2021.
And it's interesting to have that combined impact all at once for an organization. What kind of feedback do you get? What have the organizations said that have benefited from this so far?
Yeah, everyone has been very excited and very gracious. And, I think I'm also an ED of a nonprofit, which we've also been a recipient, and we're very thankful and grateful for that. But, a lot of times our funding that we receive is tied to specific things that we can use that funding for, right? So that's restricted funding. And to be able to receive a great, large sum of money, 10,000 plus unrestricted funds to really be able to use that into what we may see as an unmet need in our organization. I can tell you as an ED, it's very exciting, and we're very thankful for that. And I think that's been echoed in all of the other 8 recipients that so far have received money. The EDs have been very thankful. The boards have been very thankful and excited to receive that funding. So yeah, so it's a fun time. The energy is, so we call the meetings gathering circles. So the meetings they're high energy, they're fun. You can come to a meeting. You don't have to be a member to come. You can just come and kind of check it out and then decide whether or not you want to join. You can, the membership, we do ask for $100 per vote, right? So it's $100 per vote. So if you want to join with 3 other women and form a team, and then your commitment, if you had to member a team of 4, then your commitment would be $25. So again, $100 per vote. You can do that. So we try to make it so that everyone can join and be a part of this that wants to. So it's very exciting. I just want to say the way this first started is a woman really saw a need for a local organization in her community in Michigan that needed baby cribs. And so she reached out to her friends and made a few phone calls. They got together and collectively were able to donate $10,000. So that's how our 100+ women started. And I think that's exactly what we do. We collectively get all of our friends together and say, hey, this is a great cause. This is a need in our community that we need to help. And I can contribute $100. But wow, to be able to give a check for $10,000, that's making a real difference, a real change.
Wow, the power of collaboration, of coming together like that. And then to think that you've done it 8 times, so that 8 different organizations in our community have had that injection of wow. There is a comment, Jason said, thank you for your generosity and all you do for our community. You are all superheroes. Aww.
Well, right back at you, Jason.
So Kristin, I know that recently you were involved. Tell us about that experience.
Well, I mean, first of all, I have the pleasure of being a member, and I'm fairly new to the scene. So I just started, I think this was my 2nd meeting in February of this year. And so it's fun seeing all the nonprofits in our community. First of all, I think people in our community just don't have awareness of how many amazing organizations we have. So that's first and foremost. And then I would just say the support and cheerleading that happens at that meeting is really pretty exciting and encouraging. So, I've met women and networked there and seen those women in the community since then. And I think that's pretty exciting. I've also seen women get up and speak. And for me personally, last month, I had the pleasure of representing Lighthouse Recovery because Chrisma was on vacation.
Yeah.
We were so blessed to get picked to speak, and then just beyond blessed to actually get to be the organization that was chosen to receive the money that night. But women were giving me high fives and saying, good job after speaking. This is you're getting up in front of 100 people and you have to do a pitch. And I don't even, is it 5 minutes, ladies?
Yeah.
Right? You have 5 minutes to make this pitch. And so I said everything that was in my mind in those 5 minutes. And I thought, did I say everything I wanted to say? But just, again, there was so much encouragement and support that it made it fun. And it's pretty exciting. And I sincerely hope that it continues to grow because there's just so much amazing potential there.
Yeah. And I think the other piece of that too is you don't know if you're going to be picked until the night of. So all of the organizations, the nonprofits that are represented there that night, all of those names get thrown into a hat. And I mean, literally, they get thrown into a hat. And then 3 members pick out 3 nonprofits randomly. And then those 3 nonprofits get up to do their 5-minute pitch. So you don't know until that night whether or not you're getting up to pitch. So it can be, it's it's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, it's fun, but it's lots of high energy. So, and then after the 5 minutes, there's a 5 minutes Q&A. So if there's anything that you forgot, hopefully somebody in the audience will also realize that there's a gap there and they'll ask that question. So you get 5 minutes of Q&A as well before the vote. So
what are the women in attendance looking for when they hear an organization make a pitch? Are there some, certain criteria or things that you're looking for, or do the women collectively decide that there is some specific impact that they're hoping to make and looking for an organization that does that? Or, how does that decision process kind of unfold?
Tina, I'll take that question. That's a really good question. Excuse me. Because organizationally, we have not set up guidelines for the women to consider. Organizationally, we only have set up the structure. It's up to the women, it's up to the people in the audience and our membership to collectively sort of make up their minds which criteria is going to fit their team the best, which I think is really very powerful. There's lots of different women. When you look out over our audience, they're coming from all different parts of our county and all different demographics, which is what I love about it. So I think everybody, each team individually, kind of has an idea in their own mind what is important to them. And that's where the power of your vote comes into play. And so each team can make up their own mind what's important and, vote accordingly. So I think I mean, you could look at that in a couple of different ways, but I think it's one of the strengths that our organization has, is that everybody is coming from such different backgrounds, different ideas, different reasons why certain organizations are worthy. And then we, collectively make that decision. So I love that. I mean, Julie, do you see that as well?
Yeah, and it's so after the 3%, right? Then we do the voting, and then we do the tally of the votes. And sometimes it's a really tight vote. Sometimes it's not. So I'm going to be very honest. Sometimes it's a landslide, right? But sometimes it's a really tight vote between the three organizations. So I think that it just kind of depends, I think, of what's going on maybe in the community during that season, or what's going on with that individual, of who they want to vote for, or where they see the need. But it can be very, very different, amongst the members. Or sometimes it collectively works out that everybody seems to be in agreement. So but
what's cool about that, what I really appreciate about that process is that it is so in the now timing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's organizations showing up that have the need, and it's women listening right then and right there, and then laying down their checks to make this $10,000 impact without, a year of budget planning and red tape and all, you know what I mean? It's so interesting because it's so real time making that impact.
Yes, yep, exactly. And then we ask that members, if they are unable to attend, then to send their checks in. We do ask that checks come in to us so that we can record and make sure that that we've received all of the funding. So we do ask that. And so there's sometimes that maybe the organization might be getting that in batches, right? They'll walk out with a large sum of money, checks, and then maybe a couple weeks later another batch of checks will come in, right, from those members that were unable to attend. But exactly, it's real time. You're walking out with checks to be able to make that real difference in your organization.
So I've got a picture that you shared, Julie, from the very first time you did it. Look at this. What should we know about this? What did this feel like the first time you guys did it?
Yeah, and actually, as I'm looking at this, Tina, this is, I think, our second, because our first recipient, I think, was the crossing, and so this would, I think, been the second. So I think it's just fun to see how the group has grown. So we do ask after the presentation of the check for the members to come up to be in the picture. So we were a smaller group. This wasn't everybody that was in attendance by any means, but we were definitely a smaller group, and we've just grown from meeting to meeting. We always have the meeting so far at Sepia Chapel in Two Rivers. And I tell you, if your listeners have not been there, it is an absolutely beautiful venue. So come to the May meeting just to check out Sepia if you've not been there, because it's a beautiful venue. So the owners of Sepia are very gracious. We are allowed to use the venue at no cost to us. And they set up their room for us. And so every time right before the meeting, they'll reach out and they'll say, okay, how many chairs do you think we should put? And we're like, oh, I don't know. So I think maybe the first time, and Paula, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we're like maybe, 30, 40. And then it's just continued to grow. And so now we're up to making sure we have like enough for 100 people. And inevitably the last couple of meetings, we continue to have to pull more chairs out. So it's a great problem to be having the night of.
That is awesome. And it's 100 women plus. So you're not limited to 100 women. That means if there are viewers that might be interested in joining up and making an impact along with 100 plus women who care, tell them, what do they need to do? How can they interface with you? How can they be a part of what you're doing starting in May?
So I'm going to take that, Julie. And
Yep.
One of the things that I'm going to add to that, Tina, before I answer your question, is that currently we have about 170 some members, but some of those members may be within a team. And we have about 125, 130 teams, which means that we have the maximum impact at this point per quarter is about $12,500 if every single person pays. And there's always some that do, and there's always some that don't. Well, most do, no doubt. So that leads to how do we get even more members, which is of course what our goal is. And there's a couple of great ways and easy ways you can do it. We do have a website, which is, I always have to look this up, 100womenmc.org. And right on that website, you can go to join us. There's a little button on there, and you can click that button and fill out that form, and you are automatically a member. And so that's really the easiest and fastest way for you to join. You can also contact our email, which is mc100women@gmail.com, and let us know that you want to join that way as well. And even yet one more super easy way you can join us is to check out our Facebook page, which is at Manitowoc County 100 plus women who care. And there are some files on our Facebook page that gives you membership opportunities on there as well, if you look that up.
I'm not sure I got the Facebook.
Yeah, I know.
At Manitowoc County 100 women who care. Is this it?
100 plus women who care.
Oops.
I can always throw it in the comments later and tag the page if people find it. Yeah, we can just do that. So if you're watching live or watching on replay later, just check the comments, and I'll have time later on this afternoon to throw them in there. But the other thing that I'll just mention is when you attend a meeting, first of all, one of the things I'm going to use the word Nazi, time Nazi. Like, I love being on schedule. I love, here's the agenda. Here we go. These ladies run this meeting. Exactly when you're going to start, and you know exactly when you're going to finish. It's very efficiently run. And I appreciate that very much, because the meetings are in the evening. I have kids and a husband and all kinds of obligations, right? And I know on that night, there's no doubt I'm getting in there at the time it starts, and I'm getting out of there when it's done. So thank you for that, first of all. Yeah. Second of all, when you go on that evening, there is typically a sponsor for some type of dinner. So the couple of times that I've been there, there's been pizza and salad one time. I think the last time there were sandwiches and fruit and veggies, right? There's dinner there also. And then Sepia also has their cash bar available. So there are beverages, alcohol and non-alcohol available. So it is really as much of a philanthropic event as it is kind of a social, because we are gathering. There's a bit of fellowship that happens there as well. So when you show up, you're showing up to share a meal with somebody, you're showing up to give some money to a great organization, and you know that it's going to be efficiently run. Your time's going to be valued.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, you can come early and you can stay a little bit later if you want to do the socialization part. But if you want to come in and time is of the essence, and you need to come in just for the meeting. Meeting starts promptly at 6:30 and we're done at 7:30. So.
And we've actually gotten done at 7:20.
Yeah.
The last several meetings. So we're actually early. We schedule ourselves for 1 hour, but we get done early. So that's one of the reasons we call it fast philanthropy. So
yeah, it's fast.
Right. It's fast. You don't have to have an auction. You don't have to, spend a lot of your time and resources as a nonprofit, creating a breakfast or creating a dinner for, people to come in. We are women. We get things done.
And I love that turn of phrase, fast philanthropy. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if there's a nonprofit organization that's watching that would like to mix in, what's the process for the agencies?
Yeah, so the information that Paula gave to join as a member, you can also go through all of those same links. There's a link for nonprofits to fill out an application. So you can do that as well. So through the website and through the Facebook, or just email us on that Gmail, and we will make sure that the nonprofit receives the application. We do ask that you are a member if you are speaking. So the nonprofit wants to make sure that they have a member that can represent them and or recruit a member within their organization. But we do ask that a member is the one that represents them at the meeting.
Gotcha. So Kristin had shared another photo. We looked at this one from like your second meeting, and then this is from your most recent meeting. And the very first thing I noticed is look at the number of people.
Yeah, I think this was like half of the women that were there that night.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of a volunteer thing. Come on up and get in the photo.
Yeah.
You know, some people run the other direction and some people run towards the photo. So
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's fun.
I mean, I have to tell you guys that like I went there that night I wasn't planning to speak for Chrisma, but I had talked with Beth Snyder like a couple of days before. And I said, like, I think we should go. I don't think there's any reason why we shouldn't go and put our name in. Right. I was planning to go anyway as a member, but so she's like, okay. And I just said, like, she's the operations manager there. So I was like, if questions come up that I can't answer as a board president, can you help me out? She's like, I got your back. I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. And the minute Lighthouse got pulled out of that nonprofit basket, my heart palpitations just started. They did not stop until like 10 o'clock that night. And yes, part of it is just, we pitched for this money because we have some incredible projects coming up in this year, and that funding is going to make a huge impact on that project. But also just, again, the energy and excitement. Like when I look back at that picture, my heart immediately wants to go right back to the place. Cause like, look at how much love is in that picture. It's so cool.
Yeah.
So to know like you're championed and supported and there's all these big smiles behind the work that you're doing, like that's also pretty amazing. And who wouldn't want to be part of that?
Yeah. And now you just told a whole new audience potentially about the work that you're doing, right? And so hopefully, they're going home. You're jazzed because you guys just, won this big pot, but hopefully others are going home jazzed thinking, where can I plug into the Lighthouse, right? There's a huge need in our community that maybe I wasn't aware of, and now I can call them and figure out where I can plug in. So that's hopefully the ripple effect of all of this. So.
Do one of you
the other thing that
sorry, go ahead, Paula.
Well, what I can add to that is that, I had been working with Julie for 2 years, and I've known about CASA and I've heard about CASA, but I really didn't know about CASA until Julie stood up and gave her spiel when her name when CASA was drawn out of the hat. And I sat back and I was blown away, and I thought, this is incredible. And, therefore that prompted me to, reach out to Julie and her staff. And I got involved with CASA, and it is the most rewarding experience. And I never, ever would have done that had I not heard that at 100 Women. I just don't have those opportunities to learn about the nonprofits in our community. And 100 Women is a fabulous avenue where you can learn. You can learn what's going on. And I'll tell you, we've got a fabulous community. Manitowoc County has just got some really amazing organizations that are doing things to help people in need.
Do one of you ladies want to share a little bit? So there is a little bit of accountability on the nonprofits after they win. Can you tell them a little bit about what happens after somebody wins?
Yeah, so we do ask that the nonprofit comes back and speaks to the organization and lets them know how they've used the money or how they plan to use the money. So we do invite them back to hopefully be able to share the impact that the dollar has made. So,
it's always good to hear kind of how your individual contribution, how that made an impact in the community, right?
Yeah, nope, exactly. So yeah, and again, it gets another opportunity for the members to hear what the organization is doing.
Did you guys ever imagine that it would be 100 plus?
Well, I think that was our goal, right? But when we started this during the pandemic, and we were like, oh, should we start it? Should we not start it? But as the pandemic started, the need in our community increased drastically. And so we felt like we didn't really have a choice. We're like, we've got to do this, jump in with both feet, hope that people will join us. And they did. So it's been exciting. I hope that it continues to grow. We have some young people that have been joining us. So it's nice to see the demographics kind of changing, so being a nice mix of demographics. So it's fun. It's exciting. We need to get more nonprofits. So in addition to raising our membership, we really need to represent all nonprofits. So really the only criteria is that the funds stay local. So you can be part of a national organization, but we just want to make sure that it's a local entity where the funds stay local. So.
And when you say local, are we talking all of Manitowoc County?
All of Manitowoc County. All of Manitowoc County. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also getting back to Kristin's question about accountability, the other thing that we do is we do double check and make sure that each nonprofit who does apply is a 501c3 organization and that they're recognized and registered with the state of Wisconsin and that they're current. So that is sort of our checks and balances, just to make sure that it's a legitimate organization.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It really warms my heart to know that you ladies and 100 plus women in our community are coming together to make this difference. I just really think we live in such a special place, and to know that women can get it done by doing this type of thing to support our nonprofits, it's pretty cool, you guys.
The other thing too is that there are other organizations across the country and Canada that are not just 100 women. There are 100 men, 100 children, 100, students, college age. So we just happened to create an organization that were women, because it was myself and Julie and Susie Bound who kind of got together and started having a conversation, which, mind you, none of us were really good friends prior to this. We kind of just knew each other. And we had an idea in mind with 100 women, looking at that framework, that this was going to work. So that's why it's 100 women. But, our hope also is that this would follow, following up to this organization would be 100 men want to do this, 100, Lincoln High School, 100 Lutheran High School, 100 Roncalli kids, whomever wants to gather together. So it's really a powerful framework, and it's something that is easily transferable to a number of organizations.
Yeah. If somebody were watching and you gave them that idea, let's say there's 100 students, they're like, let's do this. Would you be willing to give them some guidance and, help them kind of learn the ropes as they got it off the ground?
Absolutely. And there is that framework that already exists, right? That's what we follow. So, and the cool thing about this is we are not an entity by any means. The checks are not made out to 100 plus women. We do not have a checking account. We do not write tax receipts, right? The organization that receives the funding provides those tax receipts for the members that wrote the checks, right? So the only thing we do is collect the checks, record the checks so that we know which members have paid. And then, because if they haven't, we do send out reminders and invoices. And then we just make sure the checks get to the nonprofit. So it's just passed through. It just passes through to us, and we turn around and give it right back out. So we don't have an account. We don't do anything with the accounting piece, nor would you want me to. So it's pretty easy
too, Julie, is that right now, just to note, we're somewhere between $80,000 and $90,000 that our impact has been to Manitowoc County over the course of the last 8 meetings.
Yeah.
So one thing that is so inspiring.
That was actually going to be my next question, is if you knew about, I know checks are still coming in from the last meeting, but you're up very, very close to $100,000. That's incredible.
Yeah. So right now, because I did reach out to Sue Holschbach, does all the accounting piece for us, and she's absolutely amazing. She keeps track of that. So as of yesterday, $86,727.
That is so awesome.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
That is
and
really
it's inspiring when you think that it came from a conversation, right? Like see a need, fill a need. You had a
Oh, I
conversation,
love
there
that.
was an idea, and look at what you were able to accomplish. Just start, you know, what's inspiring is that we can do this in so many segments of our community, right? If we can have an idea and execute on it. So you said you had a conversation, you unfolded this program, now you've had an $86,000 plus impact on the nonprofits of our community. That's amazing.
Right. It's awareness to action, right? It's one thing, once you become aware of the concerns and the issue, then you have to take the steps and take action. So that's what we've done. And the community knows the community best, right? So who knows the needs of the community better than the community? So able to get together and to talk about that and then vote on it. And so, yeah, so very exciting.
Okay, ladies, tell us again, the next meeting, if somebody wants to join us, is
May 8th.
May 8th.
Yep. May 8th.
At Sepia Chapel.
and
Yep.
that's a Tuesday.
Oh, no, that's a good question.
You do. Yeah.
Most of them
I
are
don't know.
Tuesdays, but I think there's been a Wednesday in there.
No, we alternate between Mondays and Tuesdays.
Let me look. I'm right here in front of my calendar. May 8th is a Monday.
Yeah, so we do alternate. So the last meeting must have been on a Tuesday. We alternate between Mondays and Tuesdays, but just because we know that lots of school things going on and commitments, so we want to try to give us, as much as we can for people to be able to make it. So we alternate. It starts at check-in is at 5:30. So you can come and have some social time, and then the meeting starts promptly at 6:30. So if you want to slide in right at 6:29, you can slide in right at 6:29, or you can come early and have some food and have a beverage before it starts.
So Monday, May 8th, 5:30 p.m. visiting, 6:30 meeting at Sepia Chapel in Two Rivers.
Correct. And you do not have to be a member to come. You can just come and try us out and then join.
But if you want to, you can bring your checkbook that night.
You can bring your checkbook and you can join before the meeting starts, because if you're going to vote, you will need to become a member prior to the meeting starting.
Yes.
Ladies, thank you for the fast philanthropy that you are instituting in the community. I know it is a benefit and it's fantastic. I really appreciate taking the time this morning. Our guests are Julie Ribley and Paula Fox with 100 plus women who care. We really appreciate you watching Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts. That is Kristin Odell of Grow with KLO. I'm Tina Prigge of Vagabond Creative Studio. We'll see you next time on Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Bye. Thank you.